What is happening, guys? Welcome back. So, a lot of you guys have been asking what's been going on with the Mark 1. Why have I been messing around with other projects and why have we not been doing the Mark 1? I'm waiting for a few bits to get sorted, trying to get a few different things in place for the plan that I've got and the way that I want to be building this. I've got to be honest, this next step that we're going to do, I've been putting off because I really don't want to do. We need to look at changing this roof. So I've had quite a few people comment saying, why am I changing the roof? The reason I'm changing the roof is this hole here, this hole here, this hole here, and all of this inside here, plus all this here. So, I've spoken to a few different people, and a few different people said, why don't you just cut the sunroof out of here and replace the sunroof opening? I don't want to do that because you're going to end up possibly twisting, warping the roof, and I don't, it doesn't sit quite right with me. But when we bought the Golf, we got this, which is a complete roof cut from another car. So this has obviously been cut on all the pillars with a recip saw, I'd imagine. And originally, by the looks of it, I think it was Helios blue roof that's been painted Mars red at some point in its life. So we've got this roof to hopefully be able to use the skin off to make the roof on the actual car good. Now, looking at it, and I've tried cleaning up and working out how it's mounted and whatever, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be easy to drop, but I think I've formed a little bit of a game plan. What my plan's going to be, we're going to dissect this roof first, cutting all these strengthening rails out, all the side strengthening, getting it back to just the roof skin and the gutter rail, because that seems to be what the outer skin is. If you look on the car, if you can see it, there seems to be a bit of a join in here, and the gutter is part of the roof. So I'm thinking if I can get this one off and get all of the A, B, C pillars off, back to the skin, that'll then tell me what I've got to cut off the car to hopefully make this possible. So I'm going to chuck my jacket on, get the grinder, and we're going to start cutting some bits off this to hopefully give us the answer to what to cut off that. Right, after a fair amount of time and a sore shoulder and a bruised shoulder from pressing on the drill, we've got the roof sorted and back to a skin. So yeah, as you can see, this is where it would join at the back. We've got the fold of the gutter rail, if you can see here. This panel sort of comes up, and this is this side panel. So I've got all of that off. I have uncovered a little bit of damage, like, so if you look at this front corner here, it's had a beating of some sort by something, and it was absolutely plagued full of filler. Now I imagine the reason this hadn't been knocked out properly, or knocked out, was because inside the car, on that corner, you've got all this structure and you can't get behind it. So while it's a single skin, I'm going to hammer it back a little bit, try and put a little bit of shape back into it. We're going to have to use a bit of filler, but if I hammer a bit of shape into it, we're not going to use as much filler. So let me flip this over, show you the other side. And as you can see from this side, it's a single skin now. This is that corner that had the hit, and it's a bit rotten here, but we're going to cut this outer lip off. It's a bit rusty up these A-posts as well, if you can see that. But we're not worried about that because we're going to be cutting this somewhere here, and that's why this is still left on. We've got it back to a single skin all the way along here, so we've removed all of that. We've done the same down this side, and we've removed all these rails here, cleaned these back, and the same on the back. We've removed all of this strengthening at the back, and we're now left with essentially a roof skin with a big pile of bits on the floor that we've cut off of it. So, what's my plan? My plan at the minute is I'm going to chuck a couple of bars inside the car to try and hold it square and everything again. I've got some bar left over from when we did the inside. We're going to be unstitching this at the rear. We'll be somehow cutting this corner out. Then what I'm going to do is cut this roof just there. So we'll leave the gutter on the car. We'll cut that there. And then we'll plug weld the new roof skin to that piece. That's the idea anyway. Hopefully it's going to work. We'll see. Right, I'm going to weld some bits of bar in this. And then we'll start cutting a big hole in the roof of this car. Can you tell I'm a little bit worried about this? Hopefully it's going to work. So I've welded this bar in on this B pillar and this B pillar. I've not put one at the front because we're not going to be cutting any of this structure away. I'm not putting one at the back because we're not cutting any of this structure away. I'm not putting them down the sides because we're not cutting that structure away. So I figured I didn't need to go mad with it. That one bar will just keep middle in the correct place. And nothing else should move. I don't think. So that's what we've done with that bit. Now it's time to take an handle grinder to the roof of this car. It's nearly solid. I am very concerned about this, but we'll do it. Let's make a start, cut a big hole in the roof of this car. There we go, there's that hole cut and the new roof offered on. I mean, it isn't in exactly the right place, but I just wanted to drop it on just for dropping it on sake, really. It ain't really telling me a lot, but I think my idea might work. So I need to do a bit of trimming to get on the roof, on the rest of the car, and trimming on the actual roof itself to be able to get them to sit in the correct place. But I think it might work. I think it might work. So, get this off, get this roof off, get it back on the bench. We'll start cutting more of this away from the actual car to give us a bit more of an idea of where it's going to sit. We'll just carry on, keep cutting bits off. Right, a few weeks later than planned, due to the eye injury and not being able to really make a lot of mess. So I've been working on the bike, which is a hell of a lot of a cleaner job. We're now going to get back on with trying to get this roof sorted on the Golf. So where we left off is we'd roughly cut the shape of the roof out just to get the skin off. What we need to do now is go around, get all these edges off and trim it back so that the new roof will fit on. Right, didn't take as long as I expected actually. So, we've cleaned this back edge up, we've cut the roof to the point here where it was brazed on, we've got the edges all off. I've cut the roof to this point. I'm probably going to cut right into that corner, but I just wanted to leave a little bit on just to give myself. I've knocked this corner back. And I've knocked this corner back. Obviously this is still cut quite high, and the legs that we've got on this roof are quite long. But that will mean that I can mark it all and get it cut, get it sitting in the exact right place. We've I've still got to clean that off, but we've got the front of it off as well. Obviously all this still needs tidying up. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to drop it onto the trolley that I took it to be sandblasted on, just so it's a bit lower and I can work on it a bit easier than it being up so high on this jig. And then, yeah, we'll offer the roof back on. And then there's going to be a lot of cleaning and tidying up, rust proofing and everything to do before we start welding it on tomorrow. Well, after a bit more cutting and chopping and clearing things out, the roof is sat about where it needs to be. I've gone through here with the grinder, but I need to take this off to get all the waste away. This is sitting in this channel here. I did have to cut where this and the roof came up. This part of the roof was left on the shell. I've cut that right down into that corner, ground it flat, so all we've got is the flat, is this part and the flat of the gutter channel left on the car. There's none of the roof left on the car anymore. Back here, looking good, sitting in the correct place. And again there, all sitting in the right place and sitting in the gutter channel down there. Same this side, we've cut through so that we've got the right place to be able to weld this back together. So what I need to do now is take the roof off again and cut and clear all this from the front edge. I want to trim a bit of the edge of the roof off here and on that side as well. Tidy a few bits up, put some rust treatment on it because there are a few areas, a little, not rust, but just surface rust that we'll treat while we can. Leave that for the evening, then come back in the morning, chuck a little bit of primer on areas, and then we'll be able to start welding this roof onto the car. And hopefully by the end of tomorrow, we'll have a new roof fitted to the shell and it'll be nice and strong again. So I'm probably not going to film just taking these bits apart off and cleaning them up and rust treating them or whatever. I'll see you back in the morning, ready to paint and then get them welded on. Good morning. So I've got the roof all fitted and all the bits cut that we needed to. I've been round and cleaned all these edges up to get them back to metal. Then we've put weld through primer on everything. So let me just walk around and show you what I've cut off the roof of the car. So down here we've obviously cut the A-pillar to the same point so that the roof meets here and leaves a 1mm gap for welding. You can see here I've cut, this is the gutter channel that I've cut right in that bottom corner. So this is the only part of the outer skin that's left, and we've done that all the way along. Coming round to the back, the roof before obviously came round sort of down here. We've cut all of that away and sort of knocked and blended this corner about for the other one to sit on. We've trimmed all of this along this edge away round here, and they're exactly the same down that side, as you can see. And then at the front, obviously we've cut this A-pillar as well, and then we've drilled all the spot welds out for down here as well to get this back. The roof skin itself is obviously back to just the skin. That has now been welded through primed as well. So let's chuck this onto the car and we get it clamped in place. Right, roof is now on in the correct place and it's the final time it's going on. What I've done is I've cut some bits of metal off of the roof part that have gone in here that are the same contour as this, just screwed it on there, just so that when we weld that we've got something behind it to make sure it's nice and strong. I've drilled holes up to this point here because I can't get the spot welder in at this point, so we're gonna have to plug weld those bits. I've been in and cleaned the back edges of all of these areas here, so the spot welder is gonna work. So let's make sure it's clamped in the right place and get on with some welding. And there we have it. New roof is fitted to the car. I've dressed the welds a little bit, obviously still need a little bit more. And then I've just chucked some primer over it, just so that the air can't get to the raw metal. But it's on. The car is solid again. And that was the last major part of welding to be done in it. So, let's take you for a show round and show you what I've done. But this corner is obviously the corner that had got the damage on it that we uncovered when we started cleaning the roof back. So I've got to sort this out and build this line back in. Here's where we've welded it on. It is a little bit low, but again, I'm going to put filler on that, so it's not a problem. Here, we're in a little bit hot with the spot welder, so I've got to put a blob of weld on them to sort them out. But down there, we've got the welds. Now, I've tidied them up a bit. I do need to go back in and finish them off. At the back, we've welded along the edge again, and it looks pretty much as bad as factory, so that's a win. Here, we've obviously spot welded all the way along here and finished that off. Again, weld this side, looking as bad as it is from factory, and I've got to sort this mess out here, but yeah, I've not got time at the minute, and I've got to grind all these bits back. And then coming around to this corner here, again, a little bit low. This is a lot better than the other side though, and it blends in nicely. So this is the line I've got to bring back on the other side that we're missing because of the filler. That is how I have changed the roof on my Mk1 Golf GTI. It's the easiest way I could think of doing it. I think it's turned out all right. It looks okay. The car's solid again. We've got some really good welds in there. I want to say a massive thank you to Ian Davies at Ian Davies Welding Supplies for lending me this little spot welder, which made life a hell of a lot easier. That's the guy that I buy all my gas from. And yeah, he lent me this. So thank you very much, Ian, for lending me that. So that is that shell pretty much solid. Obviously, I've got to go around and tidy all the welds up, do bodywork and things to get it ready to be painted. But I think what we're going to be looking at next is getting it actually sat on its own suspension. So if you've watched the other videos, we've got a nice big pile of parts here from Heritage Parts Centre. And I've also now got some freshly powder coated parts, among other things, sat on the benches, ready to start assembling. We'll leave that on there then, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Until next time, enjoy.